Hello, Tuesday night Pokemon fans. Welcome back to Tuesday night Pokemon here at the Forge. We're actually a little bit blessed tonight. We've got a league challenge for championship points here at the Forge. So some of the best players from the metro area in the Western Metro are here to play some Pokemon tonight. I am the host on the left, John, joined by...
Hey, Tim Lingen coming back. Thanks for having me a second week in a row. Pretty cool.
Got a reminder for the new Discord perk. You were going to take care of that, Tim?
Yeah, so we just wanted to give people a reminder that the Forge now has a supporter role on the Discord server. For $5, you can unlock a custom role, emojis, private channels, and monthly game nights with the Forge crew. And for $15, you can gain all the perks listed before, but on top of that, you get a 10% off everything in the store. This is a great way to support the Forge while getting some fun perks, and we deeply appreciate it.
And we both appreciate being a guest host here at the Forge to stream these Pokemon events. Speaking of Pokemon events and getting 10% off, tonight's Pokemon discount code is Pokemon Tuesday Night Challenge. If you're a fan of the Pokemon trading card game, MTG, or just board games in general, you're getting into D&D and you need some dice, or your dice have betrayed you and you need to throw them in the garbage and get some new dice, you can use that code through next Monday to get 10% off any of your purchases here at the Forge. Tim, I'm excited to see some very, very well put together decks tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, like you said, these challenge nights and cup nights, whenever they come around, they always bring like solid, top-notch players. So it'll be exciting to check out on stream tonight.
So we're going to get our first pairings selected. We're going to get our deck list so that we can review them a little bit and do the best job we possibly can for you viewers at home. But stick around. As I always say, you got time to get a snack. We'll be right back with our first match.
Sell to your customers anywhere with Shopify, the commerce platform designed for entrepreneurs. Online, on social, in person, and on the go. Get the tools you need to sell the way you want. Powered by Shopify.
Welcome back, Tuesday Night Pokemon fans. I hope you got that snack I told you that you had time to get. We're actually here with our first matchup there getting set up. On the bottom, we are going to have Mike playing Charizard, and at the top, we'll have Alex playing a new version of Giratina V-Star that we've seen actually featured at EUIC fairly recently. Tim, any thoughts on Item Lock Giratina?
So it's a really solid strategy, especially into the Charizard list, which is really going to be reliant on, hitting those rare candies and quick plays, quick attacks, things like that. So if you can keep your opponent kind of locked out from being able to candy up, you can slow the game down and really take advantage. So we'll see if Alex is able to make that happen on Giratina. At
the same time, too, on Charizard's side of the board, Charizard does play one Charmeleon. Usually it's going to be the Paldean Fates Charmeleon, so it's immune to the Sableye effect coming from Alex's side of the board. But that is a good way to get around the item lock, although it's a bit slower. So if you want, we can head over to the game. The tech man behind the tech stuff. Gonna see them getting set up right now. I think Alex's goal right here will be to get the Lost Zone established as much as possible, get some of his damage established with that Cramorant, and then the leveling up so we can do those big 280 and those, what is it, Lost Impact is the 280 attack.
Lost Impact for 280 and Star Requiem.
Thank
for
you,
the
Star Requiem.
KO.
But at the same time, if you can get that Banette EX, which is a stage 1, it can use the attack Everlasting Darkness for 30 damage at the cost of 1 Psychic. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. So if Alex can get that established and then take out the Charmeleon and keep that lock in place, it's going to be Alex preventing Michael from playing the game, essentially.
Alex taking a look at his opening hand here. Grass Energy, I believe I saw Buddy Poffin in hand. So be looking to establish the board, like you said, John, and working to fill that Lost Zone as quickly as possible.
Mike as well also playing the updated list that Tord had success with at EUIC. See a Team Yell's Cheer, which a card we'll be talking about after. And then a more conventional sort of breakdown of 2 Professor Turo scenarios, 2 Boss's Orders, and then a 6 Fire Energy count as well. So Michael's going to need to be a little bit careful with his resources, but getting this game started with an Ultra Ball, getting rid of that Counter Catcher and a Boss's Orders, not the best start for either player.
A really unfortunate opening hand for Mike. Opens the Manaphy and really has not really much to work with at all. Ultra Balling away a couple of cards in Boss and Counter Catcher that ideally you'd save for down the road, but he really needs to get something going because on his next turn he could have just, with nothing else on the board, lose to a Cramorant Spit innocently. So forcing the issue of getting a Charmander down and seeing if he can top deck something nice next time.
Normally in Michael's deck, a Manaphy would be very important into some of the older versions of Giratina V-Star because that Radiant Greninja's Moonlight Shuriken attack can do a lot of bench damage to 90 damage to your opponent's Pokemon. But this version of Giratina does not play Water Energy. So that is purely a draw supporter for Alex's side of the board.
Yeah, so if Mike had knowledge of that going ahead of time, probably wouldn't even have Manaphy hit the field, aside from the fact that he opened it. That's really the reason that it's up there in the active right now.
Yeah, good point, Tim. That is a tough start for a Pokemon that he may have needed in some matchups, but in this one it's just kind of dead weight. I guess it is the Sacrificial Lamb allowing him to build up his bench a little bit, get the Charmeleon established on his first turn, but not the best first turn for Michael. Let's see what Alex has got going here. Buddy Poffin, going to go through his deck, find 2 Pokemon with 70 HP or less, and put them straight onto his bench.
Gotta imagine it's probably too comfy here coming down.
The Shuppet in the active. What is Shuppet's retreat cost? Give me 1 or 2.
I believe Shuppet's 1. Look it up real quick. Yeah, indeed, too comfy hitting the bench. Shuppet in the active here. Alex also able to play a Nest Ball, it looks like. The light is shining down, but Radiant Greninja hitting the bench would indicate that a Nest Ball was played.
Maybe an interesting wrinkle here. This particular Shuppet does have an attack that you flip a coin, and if it is heads, your opponent cannot play item cards. Ooh. Because this is Alex's first turn, but he's going second, for 1 Psychic Energy and a little bit of luck, he could be locking Michael into his current board state, opting to see some more cards, though.
Well, and this not something that Alex necessarily knows for certain, but Mike is sitting on Rare Candy Charizard in his hand. The hand is not great, but he does have the ability to evolve up, assuming no item lock, with up into Charizard and start swinging. I mean, it's not going to be good if that's the only thing he's got on his board, but he'll be able to at least do something.
Agreed. Rare Candy Charizard is a pretty awesome start if you have a bad start, not going to lie. With 4 cards in hand, Michael, thank you for showing us with that dice. You got 4 cards there. All right, Colress Experiment on Alex's side of the board, starting to build up that Lost Zone fairly rapidly. If he is able to get some sort of switch card as well, we'll see 4 in the Lost Zone. The Cramorant potentially coming down if you can find a Nest Ball as well. The one-off copy, though, of Banette EX going into the Lost Zone, so we are not going to see any item locks this game. This is going to be a straight slugfest between these 2 decks.
Yeah, Alex deciding that he's got what it takes to just trade blows with Mike and his Charizard deck without keeping him from candying at all. Mike does top deck a Fire Energy. Not going to be too helpful in this scenario. Chooses to attach to the Manaphy.
So if we do get an evolution into a Charizard with Infernal Rain, Michael needs to be very careful. This is the first deck search that he's going to have. He needs to carefully be checking how many Fire Energy is in the prize cards. Limited to 6, he could potentially pull 4 of them in total out of the deck right now with 1 attached to the active and then 3 on the Charizard. Might be opting to leave some in the deck, though, just so he's not running out of resources in the future.
Yeah, he does choose to attach 2 to the bench to Charizard EX, so 3 will be in play. 1 will hit the discard here as he retreats into the Charizard. Really needing to pull something meaningful off of this first prize card that he takes, because he's got a pretty dead hand right now.
I think Alex on the return will be able to feed that Charizard a couple of Pokemon and get that Giratina V-Star established to one-hit KO it with Starbirth. But we'll just see a swing into a Comfey, draws a Team Yell's Cheer, which will actually allow him to get some of those resources, the Counter Catcher and the Boss's Orders, back into the deck if he wants to.
Yeah, Team Yell's Cheer allowing you to pull 3 trainer cards from the discard pile, shuffle them back into the deck. A lot of utility there. Primarily, I think we're seeing it being put in there for the stall matchup, like you mentioned earlier, but really being able to cherry pick what supporters you want to see back into your deck is pretty powerful, especially if he's able to establish the Pidgeot EX. He can just search it out anytime he needs it and put himself in a really good position.
Alex also not looking bad with 2 Colrusses in a row. He's currently at 4 in the Lost Zone, going to be going up to 6. Will be 1 short of activating Mirage Gate. Shouldn't be too tough to get there if you can get a couple of ways to get that Comfey into the active. Lacking a Giratina V right now. I do see one in his hand. See what Alex decides to keep and what he decides to discard into the Lost Zone. Giratina V, a surprisingly resilient deck. Saw some changes at EUIC with the Banette item lock addition, but still doing what it does best. It did make it to the final, lost to Tord Reklev with the same deck that Michael's playing. So we're kind of seeing an EUIC rematch right now.
Yeah,
just with different pilots.
Well, and Giratina has been around for quite a while now. It came out kind of storming out of the gates and really went away for a long time until it got some cards that helped it become a giant threat in the meta again. Namely, like Jet Energy, Counter Catcher, that kind of thing, really helping it to be established as one of the top tier decks.
All right, it looks like we've got 6 in the Lost Zone for Alex, seeing what he opts to do. Doesn't have a good way to get any more in the Lost Zone with the loss of that Comfey last turn. Gonna see it evolving into the Lost Zone Banette, though. Tim, I don't know what that ability does. What does it do?
I believe that one allows you to toss Banette into the Lost Zone itself.
And then you can go get a supporter.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
So that would be 2 cards going into the Lost Zone. You can go get a Colress from your discard pile. That would be pumping up to 10 in the Lost Zone if that Banette were to be discarded in the Lost Zone. Pretty smart move by Alex, including that. Kudos. Turbo into the Lost Zone. Oh, excuse me. 1 in the Lost Zone, 1 into the discard pile.
Oh, sure. The Banette itself is...
I'm actually not 100% sure how that's supposed to work. Looks like the players are having a discussion about it.
So here we go. Banette has the Puppet Offering. It says, once during your turn, you may put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. If you do, put this Pokemon in the Lost Zone. Discard all attached cards.
Looks like we got a question for the judges. It looks like both of them do go into the Lost Zone. This Pokemon including all evolutions because it is an inclusive phrase. All right, eyeing up a counter catcher. Right now, potentially establishing some damage on the board, but looks like he's just going to go for a single prize via the Manaphy spitting innocently, doing 110 damage for no energy cost because of more than 4 in the Lost Zone. So Michael's bench looks a little bit thin, but it's Charizard, 330 health. What do you think?
Top decks the Lost Vacuum. That's really not going to help him establish anything further. I honestly, though, don't think that in that situation, Mike minded the Prime Catcher being played because it does save a hit for the Charizard. I guess, though, if he's not able to get anything else, he could be staring at a Star Requiem next turn and the game will be over anyway.
Indeed. Got to get another Pokemon down right now for Michael. See what he opts to do. I don't know if he has a ton of options in his hand. If Alex can get the Starbirth attack off with 10 in the Lost Zone, which he will be there next turn, or for him next turn, gonna be tricky. Looks like he's going to be forced to take a KO here and then see what this card is. It is a Forest Seal Stone.
Which, with no Pokemon V in play, is not going to help him get out of the jam he's in. Really needs a bailout turn from Alex's side of not doing much, but the Colress is going to get him right up where he needs to be. He'll also be able to Flower Select for another in the Lost Zone.
So right now Alex's board looking very established, even though he started that Shuppet. The Shuppet turned into the Banette that got him his third Colress. Essentially running that Banette, it sounds like you get to play multiple supporters. You can go get them on demand, which adds some consistency. And in the chat too, noting that it increments the loss counter by 2, so it's a bit of a turbo way to get Giratina V-Star without having to run those extra loss vacuums. Let's see what Alex opts to do. Gonna go see 2 cards.
Like maybe a Colress. Second card, haven't gotten a good look at it yet. Oh, Temple of Sinnoh, maybe hitting the Lost Zone here.
Not really needed in this matchup, unless you see a Mist Energy coming out of Michael's list. Alex does not know that Michael does not play that, but that was probably the corrected decision there.
Yeah. Our Charizard friend does appear to be in a very bad spot. I would agree with the chat.
All right, can Alex piece together a Giratina V-Star and a Mirage Gate to get the requisite Psychic and Grass energy onto it, and then get that Comfey out of the active? Would need 1 energy in hand and then a Mirage Gate, and he would have it. See a switch into the active with the Jet Energy. There's a Mirage Gate. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are going to see this Charizard go down due to Starbirth.
Michael, very solid Charizard player, but there's really nothing you can do when that hand opens up like that and just able to get his board established. Alex is going to take it down.
Which is unusual because Charizard is known for being consistent. Pidgeot EX is the driving force behind that, but unfortunately for Michael, just the cards, the heart of the cards weren't with Charizard in that one. So we didn't get to see the item lock. We did get to see Giratina V-Star blowing up a Charizard EX. Yeah, Tim, what are your thoughts? I know you've played Charizard before. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm more of a Charizard enjoyer. I know that there's some Charizard haters out there, so they're probably thrilled that Charizard was able to get blasted in the face, and Michael took the L. But I mean, Michael's a resilient player. He'll be back, and Alex looking to build on that Game 1 win and progress in the challenge.
Very good. So we'll actually be back with a winner's interview for Alex. This is what we ceremonially do here at the Forge on the streams. And a reminder, too, to you viewers that if you come down here and you are chosen to play on the stream, you do get Pokemon packs provided by us, the streamers, as a thank you for letting us comment on your games. Yeah, we'll be right back with a winner's interview with Alex, and then after that, Tim and I will actually be discussing Toward Reklov's list, which we just saw Michael pilot.
Sounds good.
Stick around.
Yep.
Welcome back, Tuesday night Pokemon fans. I am John here with our winner, Alex. Alex, we were just talking about you're a frequent star here, being interviewed as a winner here at the Forge. Giratina V-Star, I've seen you pilot that to 3 wins now.
Yes.
That's your deck.
It has been the only deck that I've felt like playing for the last, I don't know how long.
You
And
kicked
it's
my
fun.
butt with it several times, too.
That is true.
Appreciate the modesty. All right, so Giratina V-Star, there's been some changes in the format here. We saw that you had the item lock Banette, you had the item lock Shuppet. How has the deck changed, and how are you playing it differently?
So I like that inclusion of the Shuppet Net because of that puppet offering. I didn't realize that both were going to be going into the last zone because I hadn't seen it in action. But that acceleration with no... Okay.
There you go. I'll pull it up for you.
Yeah. With almost no cons to it, getting 2 cards in the last zone is huge.
And at the same time, finding a Colress, because you just Colressed and then had another turn in Colressed, and then Banette got another Colress.
Exactly. So,
It's-
like, if you see one that needs to go in the last zone, I can get rid of it because I know that I'm going to be able to get another one. Or I already put one in my hand.
Perfect. Oh, we did see you discard early in the game the Banette EX, which is the item lock of this. We in the caster studio here were thinking that maybe you were going to try to item lock Charizard. What was the logic behind getting rid of that? Were you confident in the board state?
I believe at that point, I'm trying to recall, no, because I had already played Buddy Buddy and Nestwell, so I had looked through what I had available. I knew all of my V-Stars were not prized. I knew everything else was not prized. And with the Charizard, it's a 2-prizer that is going to go down real quick. So I opted to get rid of it instead.
You went for the big can, and that is
Yep.
Starbirth. Cool. So last time when you opened your pack on stream, you ripped one of the special illustrated rares. Do you want to try to do that again?
Sure.
All right. Reminder,
Give it another
everybody,
shot.
you do get a pack for playing on stream. If you want to open it live, you're absolutely welcome to. And you can hold it up to the camera too, so we can do it with you.
There's something, but I don't think it's anything all that. Let's see. Gotta make sure the light is
We got a jelly dude.
explosion. It's like a haunter. You're doing this through a camera
Pikachu. We're doing
backwards.
this over the internet right now. Got a
Ghastly.
Ghastly. Got some item. That's good. Got a bad Scream Tail.
Sable. Rescue Pool. Is that what it is? Okay, yeah. I know my set now.
An Arbok that poisons. And look at that. Crydon EX.
Crydon.
You are the hit maker on the stream. So we got just here on the stream, and wrapping up the interview here. Again, congratulations. Is there anyone you want to say hi to? Maybe a new member of your family?
I mean, he's a little too young to know what's going on, but I do have a 6-month at home, Wesley, so
Congratulations, Alex.
thank you.
No worries. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back. Tim and I will be talking about Tord's deck that you actually just saw Alex defeat. Alex, thanks again for joining us.
Absolutely.
Cheers. Stick around.
Hey, Pokemon fans, we are back here Tuesday night at the Forge. We got a league challenge going on. John and I right now do have a little bit of a break in between matchups, so we were going to talk about Tord Reklev's Charizard list from EUIC. He was able to take the event down, I believe, largest tournament to date. Pokemon just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and
Pretty good player too.
yeah, I've heard
good
he's
list.
all right. I mean, probably not as good as you, but
Well, there's always room to improve for Tord Reklev.
sure.
So we got actually a list we can show up on screen here of Tord's deck. There were some interesting inclusions, and I saw you pick up 2 of them tonight, Tim. What's the most interesting thing for you in here?
Yeah, so the Team Yells Cheer is a really big include and a very interesting way to combat one of Charizard's biggest issues is the Snorlax stall matchup. Really, Charizard not known for a lot of switch outs or even any in some cases. And the Turo scenario, so there are 2 copies of Professor's Turo scenario, allows you to pick up a Pokemon and then it just would discard what cards attached to it. But basically, that Turo is allowing you to move things out of the active where the Snorlax otherwise wouldn't allow you to retreat. So 2 copies of that, plus the Yells Cheer allows you to cycle those back into the deck. Effectively 4 outs to moving around Snorlax.
So you play 2 Turos, which are very useful, and then Team Yells Cheer doubles the value of those.
Yeah, well, and even so, I think the obvious discussion point is the Snorlax deck, but it can serve plenty of use and utility elsewhere too, because Charizard with 330 HP, a lot of times is not going to be getting one shot. We just saw it get knocked out with a Star Requiem attack, but a lot of times it's going to be able to soak a hit, or maybe even 2, depending on what it's being hit by.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you can Turo away the damage. So you're denying prizes, possibly working around that blocked Snorlax. It offers a lot that hasn't been in the deck before. For a 3-card include, the 2 Turos and the 1 Yells Cheer, I feel like probably better than trying to run a couple of switches, or just because there's more utility.
Andrew, could we get a close-up of the Team Yells Cheer? Tech expert Andrew, who's going to throw up a copy. There it is. Shuffle up to 3 of any combination of Pokemon and supporter cards, except for Team Yells Cheer, from your discard into your deck. So it does have a built-in, you can't loop this forever kind of thing.
Yeah.
But with a Silene and an inclusion of this, you see the Snorlax stall decks kind of loop those things, as long as you get a little bit lucky.
I was going to say, funny enough, it was probably a Charizard player or Tord himself that was like, look, I'm tired of seeing this card played against me when I'm playing Charizard. I'm just going to throw it in my deck, and we'll see what happens.
Why try to beat them when you can just join them?
You
could join them. All right, we mentioned another inclusion. It was Professor Turo scenario. This is actually an interesting future card that was released 2 sets ago with the Paradox Rift. Probably the most handsome devil we've ever seen on a Pokemon card, with the exception of Lysander, because Lysander's trump card was just an awesome card. So good it got banned. But this, pick up the card, discard everything attached. So you're just taking the damage off the field, or if they lock your Rotom in the active as well, you just, oh no, that's gonna go back in my hand, and then we're gonna put that Charizard back up.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like we said, the stall matchup, and that is a win condition for some decks. Is just being like, look, you're not going to be able to move your Rotom out, and good luck with that. Just pass.
Right, Andrew, can we go actually back to the list for Tord's list as well? One inclusion that was really surprising to me was just the draw power of the Cleffa. The lowest HP of a Pokemon I've seen in a long time, with a really cool ability. Grasping Draw, it's the one-off up there, kind of in the upper left, allowing you just to draw up to 7 cards in your hand. It's like Rotom, but it only costs you 1 prize.
Yeah, well, and you don't have to attach an energy to use that Grasping Draw. It is a free attack, and it has free retreat.
Oh, it has free retreat, so it's a pivot as well.
Yeah.
Your Pidgeot is not currently available.
Right, yeah.
Love it.
I think it's one of those cards that, like, we're just talking off air about cards that haven't really been in any lists, and all of a sudden you put it in, and everyone's like, that makes a lot of sense.
How
we should have
we-
done that a while ago. So maybe you're going to see more Cleffas pop up.
It is a great draw supporter. It's got that really cool alt art too, which is the star like going across the card. It's just like Cleffa standing in this big barren salt flat wasteland.
Underrated illustration.
I would say buy them now because they're about to shoot up in value, because I'm going to go buy 3 or 4 of them.
Yep, perfect. manipulate the market.
Yes, we will be pumping that stock up right now. You heard it here first on the Forge stream. Speaking of which, don't forget to use the code Pokemon Tuesday Night Challenge throughout the week into next Monday. You can use that code to get 10% off as well. And then we are doing supporter perks for Discord supporters as well, which is another way. If you spend a little bit of money, you can also get 10% off everything you buy here at the Forge, including like some cool emojis and emotes and stuff like that on our Discord server. Yeah, Tim, anything you want to add about the EUIC finals, both the real one and then the one we just saw here at the Forge?
Unfortunately for Mike, the real EUIC final was more entertaining to watch, just because our matchup here just wasn't. It didn't get really started and going. The Charizard and Tina matchup is best when both boards are able to be established and we're taking these big blows back and forth. So that would have been fun to see, but. I like to see the innovation that's coming around. We talked about the Banette, and we saw how fast that allowed Alex to accelerate his Lost Zone and take that big knockout for game. If that Banette weren't available, it might have taken him another turn, and maybe Mike is able to stabilize. So that kind of foot on the gas approach for Tina definitely paid off in a big way.
All right. Yeah, everyone, we'll be right back with our next matchup. Tim and I are going to go kind of scope the room, see who's looking like they've got some interesting stuff. Stick around. We will be right back with some more Pokemon. Back Tuesday night, Pokemon fans. We've got our second round of pairings inbound right now. Tim and I thought it would be a little bit interesting that if we don't know what the pairings are until the sheet is handed to us. So
Yeah.
Tim,
we'll all find out together.
We will all find out what we are watching together. We do have the luxury, though, of getting the deck list, so we can kind of see what the players are playing. I'm spotting a common player out there who I have an enormous respect for. His name is Kobe. He's playing a Mousehold deck, and
that's right.
here comes the list right now. Organizer Ryan handing the list over to the casters. Oh, we have been told that we have spice. Let's look at this real quick. All right, we got a Lost Pile versus Raging Bolt, Sandy Shock,
Shocks.
Squawk. What is going on here? I can't wait to watch this, actually.
Wow, Kobe just doing whatever he wants to on these nights. He did come with the Tandem Mouse and Mousehold EX, and now he's showing up with Raging Bolt.
I have to ask you for a small favor, Tim. Can you go have whoever's on the bottom of the screen there take off their personalized playmat, please?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. So Noah and Kobe, both actually players that have been featured quite a bit here on the stream. Noah really skilled at playing a Lost Box variant. We've interviewed him twice over the last couple of months. A really skilled senior. This is the senior division we'll be seeing. And then Kobe as well, known for playing decks that have a bit of an avant-garde approach. Did play Mousehold last week. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get set up against a Goldingo deck. But right now playing Raging Bolt EX. Raging Bulk, I believe, was the name that was given to this deck. A bit derogatory. Sandy Shocks to accelerate some energy, and then a Squawkabilly and a Radiant Greninja for that draw support. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, this will be a great matchup. Both Noah and Kobe are, dare I say, local sharks here at the Forge.
We were just yes.
They're here all the time. They're very knowledgeable. Yeah, I think this will be a good matchup, assuming that both players are able to see some cards.
I think and forgive me, viewers, I'm searching for what these cards do right now because we're a bit on the spot here with this deck list. I know Sandy Shock's going to be accelerating energy once a certain amount of prize cards have been taken. That Raging Bolt, though, for a fighting and a lightning, doing 70 damage for each energy discarded from your Pokemon.
Yes.
So it's like Chen Pao, but just a little bit better, but without the ability to go get the energy out of the deck.
Well, and Raging Bolt also going to be sitting at 240 HP, which is massive for a basic EX. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 240, I believe, is the highest on any basic EX.
I believe you are right.
Yeah.
It's just out of range of some. It's only 10 short of Goldingo EX, the string cheese boy that we saw beat Kobe last week. I'm actually really excited about this matchup. And then want to remind viewers, too, that if you do play on stream, you do get 2 prize packs just as a thank you for letting Tim and I discuss your game in public.
Yeah,
And
we appreciate you.
for the juniors and the seniors that are featured on stream, we do try to feature one every week. They will be getting some Iono sleeves as well, just as an extra thank you thanks for hanging out with us adults playing kids Pokemon games.
Well, Iono on the sleeve, hanging out with Belly Bolt there. Solid
pretty
pink
dope.
border. Yeah, solid.
All right, looks like our players are getting set up right now. Got a couple mulligans from Noah at the top there. Kobe will be on the bottom. Tim, what are those sleeves that Kobe's playing with?
Kobe's got the Walking Wake from the Temporal Forces ETB.
I think Kobe is all in on this Temporal Forces theme here.
Yeah, it really is. Do they have Raging Bolt sleeves yet?
I don't know.
I guess I don't. So the ETBs are the leaves and then Walking Wake. So maybe not.
I would like to say, though, that if you want to figure out what sleeves the Forge has, you can use the code Pokemon Tuesday Night Challenge or become a supporter in our Discord and get 10% off of all of the ETBs you buy. So, Tim, if you were to use that code, you could buy every single ETB that the Forge has
I could.
and get 10% off.
Get enough sleeves.
I'll
for
be right
everyone.
back. I'm gonna go do that right now. Actually.
All right, a couple mulligans, it looks like, on Noah's side of the board. Did find a base. So we're going to be going to the match here. I love the ceremonial fist bump. Not actually a bad start for Kobe on the bottom there. Mew EX allowing for a free retreat and then being able to drop to 3 in your hand with that restart ability. Gonna see who's going first.
Like Kobe's going to be starting us off here. Playing an Ultra Ball, discarding Lightning Energy. And the second card I don't see.
I guess Squawkabilly X perfect on the first turn. Squawk and sees, you discard your hand and then go see 6 new cards, but only on your first turn. I'll give Noah some credit too. You cannot be wearing a smartwatch while you are playing unless it's in airplane mode. So to avoid any specter of cheating, Noah has taken that watch off and set it to the side. Kudos to you, Noah.
That's a pro move that honestly I wasn't even aware of. I believe that I've had a watch on stream and I didn't even know. Now I do. Future reference. Take the watch off.
Mechanical watches are your friend because no one can text you on them.
Fair enough.
All right. When you wear a Rolex on stream, I will point it out, Tim, okay? Fair
No
enough.
Rolexes to be found, I promise.
All right, going to see a Squawk and Seas Nest Ball. Going to be finishing up the bench build out for Kobe at the bottom. Got that Sandy Shocks. Now, did we see any energy go into the discard pile?
There was at least one. I saw lightning energy and then something that was maybe covered up by the Ultra Ball, so I wasn't sure what the second discard was on the Ultra Ball, but yeah, at least one energy down. Another Nest Ball able to fetch out the Raging Bolt for the bench. Kobe getting a pretty decent start to his board state here.
With Giratina, we saw last time, if you fail to set up, Giratina will punish you for it.
Correct.
The Magnetic Absorption, though, on that Sandy Shock's a pretty interesting ability. Once during your turn, your opponent has 4 or fewer prizes remaining, you can attach a basic fighting energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So that is a great way to accelerate the energy that you need, that one fighting and that one lightning, to do that 70 multiplier on that Raging Bolt.
So Kobe there did play down Earthen Vessel, discarding a Pokegear, pulling 2 fighting energy out of the deck. He did also do a little digging with Trekking Shoes. He was able to find a lightning energy to attach to the Raging Bolt EX.
Got 8 of those fighting energy and 3 electric for Kobe, so plenty of resources coming out of his deck right now. See how he finishes up his turn. Can't use a supporter, can't attack, no reason to attach right now. Oh, he did look like he attached to that Raging Bolt EX.
Yeah, just set it up for a future attack. The attack cost is going to be 2 on that, so getting the 1 energy down now will allow him to swing and start taking knockouts on the following turns.
All right, let's see what Kobe can get up to on the following turn. Does have a Professor Sedas, so he is set up for a KO next turn. I will say the Squawkabilly EX might be stuck in the active unless you can attach from hand to get that out of the active. But it does have the ability to attack for 20 for 1 colorless, but then attach energy as a result of that attack.
Yeah, sure. Unsure if Kobe was looking to establish that future motivate turn or just kind of get Mew out of range for an attack, maybe choosing to preserve Mew EX on the bench. Either way, he was able to get board established, and Noah here now is going to be looking to get his board established and build up that lost zone that we always are looking for in these comfy decks.
I want to see both these decks get established because this is going to be an awesome mathematical chess-like fight. The Raging Bolt able to hit big numbers, Giratina able to hit big numbers, and some of those inclusions as well. It looks like Noah's running an Iron Hands for taking the 2 prizes, running a Roaring Moon EX to take those big one-hit knockouts with Frenzied Gouging. Let's see what he's doing.
Well, and Iron Hands, too, if established, and if Kobe's unable to remove Squawkabilly from his board, Noah could be looking to take 3 prizes on the Squawkabilly.
That's right, Squawk's weak to electric.
Yep, so that would be a big turn for Noah. Maybe hard to do on this first turn of the game, but definitely if Squawk hangs around a little bit too long, that could definitely turn into 3 prizes in a hurry.
The basis of the Pokemon TCG, the way you win most, take all 6 of your prizes on your turn before your opponent can. So 3 goes a long way to establishing, hey, I'm about to win this game. Got a good board state, though, of draw support. Maybe Noah can get an attacker down. Cramorant going to be coming online with 1 more card in the Lost Zone. You see a switch card, so we will see 4 in the Lost Zone. Plenty of cards seen by Noah as well. Tough decision, though, it looks like.
It chose to Lost Zone a Buddy Buddy Poffin last Flower Select, now getting rid of the Mawile. Mawile, of course, used for that Tempting Trap attack, which leaves your opponent's Pokemon stuck in the active, unable to retreat, unable to attack as well. I think it's just stuck there, I believe.
If the Pokemon can attack, yes, it is stuck. Kobe playing 3 switch cards, though, so you would be able to dip out of that.
Oh, sure.
But that Tempting Trap can be a great way to just buy 1 or 2 turns while your opponent is seeking out the switch card, or potentially decking them out if they don't have a switch card. So an interesting inclusion from Noah. I really like that. A bit of a tech for the Gardevoir matchup or other Radiant Greninja decks that don't run the water energy to attack, like Giratina V-Star.
Noah getting Sableye and Radiant Greninja down. Also putting a Pokestop in play. If Noah chooses to rip the Pokestop here, he will discard the top 3 cards of his deck, and he's able to pull any item cards that he finds.
Gotta see the Roaring Moon and Energy go into the discard pile, though. Gonna keep a switch card, play it before putting it into the hand. That's what I do too. That Pokestop giveth, and the Pokestop taketh away.
It's a very divisive stadium. Very commonly played. People live and die by it all the time. Radiant Greninja using that concealed cards ability, discarding a Psychic Energy. Noah's going to be able to draw 2 more cards.
Do see the rescue board, so he will be able to attach that to the active and then retreat into the Radiant Greninja, put some damage on the Squawkabilly EX. Now the question is, what is he going to choose to do? He's just going to leave that Comfey in the active, hoping that there's no attack, or hoping the Squawkabilly stays in the active so he can maybe get that Iron Hands powered up.
Yeah, Noah was able to run to 5 cards in the Lost Zone on his first turn, so next turn, certainly feasible, especially rescue board in hand, Comfey in the active. Certainly feasible for him to hit 7 if he sees some Mirage Gates and a way to get Iron Hands down and into the active. He could certainly be popping off with Ambi very much next turn.
Seeing the draw support, that is the Sandy Shocks for Kobe getting established on the board. Those can't really be used until you hit on to 4 prizes. But if the Squawk is to go down, that will fire up the draw engine. That is Sandy Shocks to accelerate that energy. See an Earthen Vessel to get some more energy in hand. Give a Fighting and maybe a Lightning just in case.
Looks like Kobe chose to pitch the Flutter Mane in order to pull those 2 Fighting Energies out of the deck.
The question is, does Kobe play a Super Rod? He does have 1 copy of Super Rod. So to me right now, that Pokestop is looking pretty tempting, so you can get some of these resources, these Pokemon resources, back into the deck if you need them. Going to be retreating into the Raging Bolt, though. Has already attached for turn, but he has a Sada's in hand, so he will be able to accelerate energy to that. All right, he's got what he needs to attack onto the Raging Bolt. Can also attach to one of his bench if you'd like.
Does choose to attach 1 Fighting Energy to a benched Sandy Shocks EX as well.
And then draw 3. Plenty of energy and a switch card in the hand just in case something gets stuck in the active for Kobe. I think we are going to see a swing and the takeout of a Comfey this turn.
Well, I'm thinking that the Raging Bolt EX in the active is more safe than not. Kobe chooses to discard the Fighting Energy from the Sandy Shocks on the bench. That way, Raging Bolt is still powered up and could still attack on the following turn without any additional help. He does have energy in hand. Just a small sequencing thing there.
Let's see, Cobra's coming down from Noah now. Gonna look at 5. You get to keep 3, 2 go in the Lost Zone. So we are now at 7 in the Lost Zone. Mirage Gate is active. So he could power up the Iron Hands. If he gets the Roaring Moon back in the deck, could power that up as well with the 3 energy required. Well on his way. And that Sableye is looking like a harbinger of things to come on the bench as well for 1 Psychic Energy, allowing you to place 12 damage counters, which can really fix the math on this Raging Bolt deck. Let's see what he chooses to do, though. Going to see a Flower Selecting and then likely retreat into another Flower Selecting. Going to 9 in the Lost Zone right now. Excuse me, 8 in the Lost Zone. Opting not to keep the Nest Ball. Must have gotten something pretty important. I see another Flower Selecting, digging deeper into that deck. I will say, Tim, when you see a Lost Box player look at their 2 cards and then immediately slap one down, you know that the card they got was a good one. So these agonizing micro decisions are what really define this Lost Box.
And I have a lot of respect for anyone who's able to pilot the deck well, especially over tournaments that go, a long challenge, a long cup, a long tournament, because micro decision after micro decision, brain's got to be feeling it by the end of the day.
I could not agree more.
Concealed cards. Pitching Water Energy this time. He's going to draw 2. He draws into Lost Vacuum and Hisuian Heavy Ball. he will play down the heavy ball. It allows you to look at your prize cards, pull out a basic Pokemon that you see there if there are any. If there aren't, you just get to take a look and see what's in your prize card, which is valuable information either way.
Now, one thing I'm getting concerned about with Noah's side of the board, we've seen a lot of energy go into the discard pile, and one energy is going into the Lost Zone. One water is in the Lost Zone as well. So I'm concerned that if he gets set up for a Mirage Gate and doesn't get a Super Rod first, we might go Mirage Gate and realize that we don't have the resources we need to set up that 4 energy attacker in the Iron Hands or the 3 energy attacker in the Roaring Moon EX with Calamity Storm. With Frenzy Gouging, just because that Calamity Storm is only going to be doing 2 trending right now. So to take a knockout on this Raging Bolt, he's going to have to be doing that infinite damage of Calamity. I said it wrong again. It has 2 attacks. Frenzied Gouging.
Frenzied Gouging, yes. Yeah, it again speaks to all those decisions that need to be made and thorough deck checking. Oftentimes you'll see a lot of Lost Box players carrying a notepad around with them just to minimize the chance that you would make a mistake on those Mirage Gates that you're talking about.
All right, all of the draw support now exhausted for the Lost Zone additions. Going to see Noah playing a Nest Ball. Probably going to be getting an attacker. Now, I did see a Prime Catcher in his hand. We haven't seen any disruption. So if he has the Mirage Gates and the Electric Energy in hand, we may see an Iron Hands with a Prime Catcher into Squawkabilly taking 3 prizes like you predicted, Tim.
That would be a huge turn. We do see Lightning Energy attached from hand.
Looks like he's going for it. Can he piece together the puzzle?
Noah's a sharp kid. I think he's probably got this figured out. Super Rod does come down first, astutely, as you had just pointed out was going to be necessary. He's going to choose to put Roaring Moon, a Water Energy, and thinking about a third.
The Knuckle Crack, a great representation here on stream of someone thinking. I love it. Now, if you see him set that energy on the top of the deck, you know that Mirage Gate is in hand, and he's going to be slapping those onto the Iron Hands immediately.
There it is.
So for 1 Lightning and 3 colorless, Iron Hands is doing 120 damage. With weakness, that bumps it up to 240, which is more than enough to take out the less than that Squawkabilly EX.
Well, and Squawkabilly would surrender 2 prize cards anyway, but the Ampy Very Much attack does...
Thank you.
It does state that you get to take another prize card, so 3 off of that attack.
All right, we're going to see Noah going for it. Big energy commitment here. Can he pull it off, getting the Squawkabilly EX in the active? I think if he's got the Prime Catcher in hand, he's got this.
He does. And so if you're Kobe, you got to think here. Oh, Noah choosing as well to remove the Pokestop. He's not looking to give any outs to Kobe on a response KO on the Iron Hands.
There's the Prime Catcher. Oh my god, this is so exciting.
So Kobe knows he's about to give up 3 prizes. So his number 1 priority here is going to be, I need to return KO this Iron Hands, and I need to keep up in the prize trade here. Because even with a respond KO, you're going to be tied up at 3. It's not even that Kobe's going to be racing ahead.
And on that account, too, that will put Noah on odd prizes. So he's probably still going to have to take 2 prize KOs, taking 7 in effect prizes this turn. And that has turned on Sandy Shock's ability for Kobe. So now Kobe is going gangbusters with the energy acceleration because he's got the 4 less prize cards on his opponent's side of the board. This is what Raging Bolt needs. It just needs the energy acceleration. And all of a sudden, Noah accidentally set that up.
Well, and Kobe there was able to attach the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule as well, which is going to buff up this Raging Bolt's HP even higher. Bring it all the way up to 290, I believe.
Yes. And immune to effects, too.
And immune to effects, which is incredible.
All right, going to see a bunch of energy get discarded with Noah having a Super Rod in the discard pile and a Super Rod in the Lost Zone. The question is, can he find the remaining 2 that he needs with the Mirage Gate combo to get everything powered up? Now, the Lost Box Dex has an incredible amount of draw support, but sometimes you just dodge it the entire time. And at this point, he's opening himself up to some really susceptible Roxanne plays from Kobe's side of the board as well.
Well, and really underrated move here by Kobe. He did wait until the Lost Vacuum was played on Noah's side before he put that capsule on. And Noah I believe here. Oh, so he does have 2 lost vacuums. There's going to be one more that he could possibly remove this capsule with, but 290 HP is going to be huge for Noah to deal with.
That's a basic with 290.
That's wild.
What is this game?
And no weakness.
What?
He's a dragon type, so you can't even rely on swinging into him for weakness and taking the KO that way.
For people that can't see me absolutely freaking out here, Tim, I'm sorry. This is
No, that's all right.
huge shout out to our organizer Ryan who selected this game for us. This is the kind of spice that we like to see on the stream. Noah, an extremely skilled player, making the right plays. Kobe bringing an interesting deck. This is exactly why we play the Pokemon TCG. I'm so excited to be seeing this game in person. All right, gonna see a Mew, which could potentially copy the attack.
Oh,
does it have enough energy though to discard to do what it needs to do? I don't think so.
Well, and Noah possibly coming to that decision as well because he did choose to pitch the Mew EX into the Lost Zone. One thing I forgot about as I was giving the explanation of the capsule, Roaring Moon EX's Frenzied Gouging does not care about the energy capsule. So if he's able to get 3 energy on this Roaring Moon EX, he can take a KO with the Frenzied Gouging attack and just take 2 prizes, leaving 1 remaining to take the game. He does play Roxanne. Both players are going to shuffle their hands into the deck. Noah's going to be able to draw 6 cards off of this Roxanne, and Kobe will see 2. He better hope they're good ones.
Yeah. I will say, if he's able to play some of them too, he can use the restart to kind of build his hand back up a little bit. That Mew restart really coming in clutch. But that's a big ask of that little tiny psychic Pokemon. All right, got a thumbs up from Kobe. I appreciate that.
I've got 2.
Oh, so he's got the response Roxanne,
that's...
or he's got the energy acceleration if he needs it. I don't think you could have asked for anything better off that Roxanne.
No, that's absolutely solid. One thing, well, I guess Sandy Shocks could be an attacker as well. I was going to say the one thing that he's lacking right now would be a second Raging Bolt on the board. But with the energy acceleration that Sandy Shocks offers, you could just potentially power that up for a hit as well.
Is Raikou weak to fighting?
Raikou is weak to fighting.
So that Sandy Shocks would do 400 damage, just enough to take out that Raikou V.
Yep.
I love it. I'd like to point out that these are both 14 to 15-year-olds playing this game at a level that I only could aspire to reach. So, love it.
Some huge brain plays. Sableye going to be the one taking the attack here, sprinkling some damage across the Mew EX and Raging Bolt.
We'll be seeing that Sableye Lost Mine attack for at least another year. While I know people love Sableye, he's a cute little dude with gem set eyes. That Lost Mine attack is the bane of my existence. Place 12 damage counters in any way you'd like on your opponent's Pokemon. It is the way Lost Box wins games, by just fixing damage. Opting to use Sadas to accelerate some energy. We're going to see, I think, a quick 2 energy discard here from Kobe. Oh, opting to do some energy acceleration first. Great choice. Looks like he's run a little bit thin in energy in that discard pile, but he doesn't have to discard much to take out this Sableye.
And I'm looking here at Kobe's list. Does have a Prime Catcher and does have a Boss's Order. So I'm just kind of looking up his next couple of turns. He's going to go down to 2 prizes here. Really, you'd like to see your final KO taken on one of the 2 prizes in play. So the Raikou or the Roaring Moon EX.
There's the Lost Vacuum.
Yep, that's going to bring the Raging Bolt back down to its 240 HP minus the... did he put 10? 10 damage counters on the Bolt?
He put some. I can't see.
He put some. So softened it up, wanting to ensure that he's able to knock it out on this following turn. Kobe's board state looking pretty good, though. He does have a Bolt. He's got his Sandy Shocks in play. He's got a Research in hand. So he has some things that if Noah does promote this Roaring Moon and take the KO, which it does look to be likely to do.
Oh, rethinking a little bit. I think that might be the correct play because he can Calamity Storm.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a Stadium to get enough damage down.
Oh,
so it's currently only doing 100 damage. Would need an extra Stadium to do that 220. We'd have to do Frenzied Gouging then in order to take the knockout, which would leave him vulnerable for those last 2 prizes that Kobe needs to take. Now the question is, does Kobe have the energy acceleration that he needs to get a Raging Bolt powered back up next turn? 1 fighting, 1 lightning. If he has one in hand and can Sada's into it from the one that would be lost off this Raging Bolt, I think he could pull this off with just a boss or a Prime Catcher.
Yeah, Kobe looking to be in a good spot here. Noah taking a look. Wanting to ensure that he knows what's going on with the abilities on Sandy Shocks. Definitely good call. I mean, you mentioned that these are kind of up-and-coming players, younger, and if you don't know something, you should definitely ask to take a look and read the card to make sure that you have as much information as possible. Make informed decisions on your plays. Very smart by Noah.
And sometimes you just got to send it, too. So you just got to see what happens.
Oh, that's what Sandy Shocks does.
All right, Noah thinking about that Mirage Gate. Going to put the 2 energy on the Roaring Moon. Now, can he find the stadium he needs to do the damage? Yes, he can. He's got the 4 Seal Stone. Maybe having to go get some more energy acceleration at the same time, too. Doesn't have the energy back in deck quite yet.
Very thin.
He undid the 4 Seal Stone.
Ah, okay.
Opted to not use it. I am on the edge of my seat right now. I don't know how this is a great game. Finds the Mirage Gate. Has the rescue board. Gonna Comb Fade to dig a little bit further. 4 remaining cards. He knows what all of them are. Doesn't need the Super Rod. Has plenty of energy left in deck. We have seen Kobe almost deck himself out at this point. No more Super Rods available to him.
Switch. Choosing to go into the Cramorant and
Boss's orders on the Mew. Will be enough damage to take out the Mew. Noah going down to 1 prize. Kobe promoting the Raging Bolt. Now the question is, can he find a way to get a 2-prizer into the active and then discard enough energy to take the KO on one of the 2 prizers that he bosses up? He is just a Prime Catcher. Oh, if he doesn't have the energy on the other Raging Bolt, he needs to find a boss's orders this turn. See if he can do it.
Well, that boss KO on the Mew with a single prizer there is Noah's best chance of asking the most questions out of Kobe, right? Because, like you had mentioned, if you are forced to promote Roaring Moon and you take the KO with Frenzied Gouging, that would bring the Roaring Moon down to 30 HP, and that's really not hard to knock out at all. Raikou, really not a feasible attacker right now either, because it's a 2-prize liability for Kobe and his Sandy Shocks. So Cramorant being in the active right now, a knockout on that is not going to help Kobe. He really needs to, right now, get a 2-prizer into the active and take the K out there for game.
So with this Roxanne, he's going to see 6 cards from his deck that has been mixed up. He needs to find the Prime Catcher off of these 6 cards or a Pokestop to try to dig for that Prime Catcher. If he does not find a Prime Catcher this turn, I am confident that Noah will walk away with the win here.
Absolutely.
It's all going to come down to these 6 cards.
Very exciting closeout to this game. Not really getting a good look at Kobe's hand to see. Oh,
There's the
there
Prime
it
Catcher.
is. Yes, bring it up.
Going to bring up the lowest HP. Does have to switch his own out. He does have to switch his own Pokemon. I
believe, is he announcing that he's promoting and retreating one of the shocks and
Potentially.
then discarding the energy with the moon? He actually looking to show the action here.
There we go. Going to promote Sandy Shocks. Does have a 2 retreat cost. If he can find the 4 energy to discard, going to use an energy transfer.
Oh, sure.
And he's just going to punch it
Yeah, you
with the
don't even
Sandy
have to-
Shocks.
Take it with the ancient Magneton.
What a game from these 2 young senior players.
Wow.
I absolutely love it. I'm sorry that you guys couldn't see me losing my absolute mind in here
He was.
over how great this game was. Tim, your thoughts? We walked into this blind. We got to see an amazing game. What do you think?
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible. Really smart plays made on both sides of the board. You could see that the gears were grinding in both of their heads and really thinking out their plays and executing to the best of their abilities. It was incredible.
Yeah, if you guys want to come see great players like this, please come join us at the Forge. We've got games like that every Tuesday night. Tim, would you mind interviewing our winner there? That was incredible.
Yeah, we're going to have a chat with Kobe here, and he'll talk us through his Raging Bolt with Sandy Shocks deck and his big win.
Cool. We'll be right back.
All right, hey, Tuesday night Pokemon fans. We are back here going to conduct a winner's interview with Kobe. Kobe, you were running the Raging Bolt with Sandy Shocks EX. Able to take down a huge win. Very exciting game. John once again losing it outside of the studio in support of Kobe. Kobe, how do you feel the deck has been running for you? And I mean, certainly you were able to set up well tonight. You're now 2-0. And how do you think it's been running? What are you liking about it? And, you just take us through your deck a little bit.
Well, I just started playing this deck tonight, so what I think I like most about it is definitely the Dry Engine with pairing Raging Bolt up with Sandy Shocks EX.
Yeah.
Definitely does help out with it, being the perfect Dry Engine with it, Raging Bolt's attack, being about discarding cards, and, Sandy Shocks about recycling them, so...
Well, and that's perfect. So, like you mentioned, drawing and seeing a lot of cards, you were able to hit that early Squawkabilly EX, the Squawk and Seize. So, to really put your foot on the gas early, you were able to establish the board right away with Sandy Shocks down, Raging Bolt down, attachment on the first turn to that Bolt, and on the second turn, you were ready to go. And then, like you said, very, very excellent point about the big blow-up attacks with Raging Bolt. And then those Sandy Shocks, you had 3 of them in play. You were able to just pull those energy right back and do it again each turn.
Yeah.
So the big turn of the game, when you were digging, you needed an out to pull one of those 2 prizes in the active and knock it out on that turn. If not, I really think that Noah probably would have taken it on the next turn. So it was huge. You played that Roxanne. You're going to see 6 cards. You need Prime Catcher. What are you thinking at that time?
I'm thinking it's just at the heart of cards. I need to hope I get it.
Yeah. And honestly, this is a card game, so a lot of times you end up just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. This time it was in your favor, Kobe. So, like we said, 2-0, and a great showing here on stream, and we wish you luck in the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Hey, we will be back with another stream match and more great Pokemon. Hey, Pokemon fans, we are back and gearing up for another stream match. Should be another good one here. Do we announce what we're looking at here?
We can.
Yeah,
It's up to you, Tim.
Yeah, I suppose it is if I'm the one throwing the intro. It's an Arceus V-Star with a Alolan Vulpix V-Star. Going to be going up against the Turbo Iron Hands deck. The Temporal Forces set brought about this new archetype where you are trying to race to that Ampy very much that we saw
Speed hands.
in the last matchup. Really looking to do that as quick as you can and finish up the game in as few turns as possible. Iron Hands.
Yeah, actually, Andrew, can we jump over to the board here while we're talking about it? Players are getting set up on the table here real quick. On Adrian's side of the board, which is going to be on the bottom there, this is an Arceus V-Star deck, but it's got a Alolan Vulpix V-Star, which has a, what's the name of the attack? It's 160 damage.
Oh gosh, I forget the actual name of it.
It's not White Drop, but it does 160 damage. Here's the thing, though. After that, that Pokemon cannot be affected by damage from attacks from Pokemon that have abilities. So if you're going into, what's a very popular Pokemon that has an ability? I don't know, Arceus V-Star. If you do that attack, you put 160 damage onto it, and then you can't take any damage because that's the effect of the attack. So this deck really, really good into decks that have abilities, but fortunately for Oscar, who's at the top of the screen there, starting that Miraidon, his Iron Crowns have abilities, but his Iron Hands do not.
Well, the Iron Crowns aren't there to attack, really, so they're just there to buff the damage of the Iron Hands. Snow Mirage, by the
There
way,
we go.
is the name of the attack that we may see from Vulpix V-Star. Otherwise, let's see. Adrian... Looking to see if there... Oh, so there's a Turo scenario. Arceus deck sometimes known for that healing by picking the Pokemon back up with like a Sharon's Care or the Professor Turo scenario in this instance. So Adrian may be looking to soak up some damage and then remove the liability by picking it up and moving into another attacker.
Let's say Adrian's turn here, starting out exactly how you want it to, maybe with a little bit more benches, but you want to get that double turbo attach, and then you pass, because you do need the 3 colorless energy on the Arceus V-Star to start swinging, and that's kind of what you need to do that Trinity Nova to start attaching energy to your Pokemon. So a bit of a slow start for Adrian. Right now on Oscar's side of the board, though, going to see that Miraidon with his 1 colorless attachment can do 40 damage, and then go seek out energy from your deck and then attach 2 of them to your future Pokemon any way you'd like. The key there is the future, though.
Yes, must be future Pokemon. Yeah, like you said, both players getting at least pieces of their ideal start. Adrian, like you said, maybe would have liked to have seen more than just the Arceus on the board, but he was able to get that turn 1 attachment that sets up a turn 2 attack. Arceus V-Star also, with the V-Star power, will allow Adrian to search out any 2 cards in his deck and kind of get himself more established and going if he's able to get into the Arceus V-Star on this next turn.
Now, he said that it does 40 damage, but there's some modifiers there. That future booster capsule, that adds 20, no retreat cost. And those 2 Iron Crowns each add 20 damage each. So that's not just 40 damage anymore, that's 100 damage.
Well, really establishing the single prize Miraidon as a threat, not only to accelerate to your board, but take some lower hit point knockouts. Arceus here is going to be able to soak up that hit and not go down. But other decks with like lower HP support Pokemon or things that need to be set up would fall to a Miraidon attack while you're accelerating to your Iron Hands. So really good value. Adrian did evolve into the Arceus V-Star and flip that V-Star marker. Going into his deck, he's going to be able to pull whatever 2 cards he needs out. He does bring Arceus V to the front of his deck, maybe eyeing up a bench Pokemon here. And then an energy to get that attack off.
Gonna be able to take the knockout, that Iron Hands EX, not having enough energy to take the knockout yet on this Arceus V-Star. But if the Iron Hands can get 1 more energy and then 1 more Iron Crown down, then it will have enough potential damage using one of its attacks to take out that Arceus V-Star. So Adrian right now does have to be a little bit careful. Does look like he's going to seek out a Water Energy and then a backup Arceus just in case his Arceus V-Star does go down. See if that's his final choice.
He does have a Prime Catcher in hand, I believe, so he may be eyeing up knocking out the Mew
Oh,
EX.
That would be a great play.
If he brings up... Is that a boss in hand? Oh, Lost City. Boss in hand, Lost City in hand, Prime Catcher. So maybe saving the Prime Catcher, could choose to boss KO.
Looks like he agrees with you.
Save the boss. Play the Prime Catcher. He's going to be able to Lost City, remove this Mew EX from play completely. Take a KO, 2 prizes, and accelerate 3 energy to the benched Arceus V. This is really a pretty solid turn 2, about as ideal as you can imagine.
Still hasn't played a supporter, so he could opt to get rid of all those resources. I think that's the majority of his boss's orders, but going to see 7 new cards. Could grab a Sharon's Care as well. But right now, taking out this Mew, Oscar does not play any recovery in his deck, so the Lost Stadium, a great inclusion for some potential decks like Charizard, getting rid of some Pokemon you don't want to see come back.
Sure.
Right now, Oscar's going to see this go into the Lost Zone, and it is never coming back. And then, you see Adrian go up 2 prize cards. Is leaving a bit of a liability in the active, but with that Trinity Nova attack, can get the energy acceleration to his 2 RCSs, so he's ready for a follow-up attack as well with that water energy. I'm concerned a little bit, though, with the Alolan Vulpix. He's not going to need this, so those cards are probably dead in his hand. Or dead in his deck, excuse me. So
Yes.
right now he's just having to go all in on attacking with Arceus for that 220, 220, 220.
Yeah, and try to race those 2 prizes that way. Being able to go maybe 2-2-2. So these benched Arceus, if he's able to power them up with without using double turbo energy, Arceus V-Star would deal the full 220 damage, which could knock out Iron Crown. Not going to take the Iron Hands, because Iron Hands is on 230 HP, but could, if he's able to get the Iron Crowns into the active with another Gust effect. He did just pitch a couple of them, though, and use the Prime Catcher, so that could be difficult. It might be some 2-hit knockouts on Adrian's side of the board.
All right. Curious, too, that he's going to be 1 short for knocking out the Iron Hands. 230 health on Iron Hands. So doing 220 is going to leave you 1 damage counter short. Looking at Adrian's list here, he doesn't play any damage modifiers as well. All he would need would be 1 Vitality Band. We already know he doesn't play the Maximum Belt because he played the Prime Catcher. So it looks like these are all going to have to be 2-hit KOs from him and giving up 3 prizes potentially. Excuse me, 2 prizes by getting knocked out by the Iron Hands that's promoted.
So Oscar there choosing to attack with Arm Press, which dealt 160 damage to the damaged Arceus V-Star. That was enough to finish it off.
With the additional damage actually from the 2 Iron Crowns as well, bumping that up even further.
Oh, yes. The initial hit from the Miraidon would have been a little bit short had it not been for the damage modification.
Now the question is, can Adrian put together something that would disrupt Oscar's hand and allow for a 2-hit KO? So right now he's probably looking to do an Iono to dump some cards to the bottom of the deck, or bossing up an Iron Crown, maybe able to take the KO here, or using this to stall a little bit. That might play into Oscar's hand a little bit, just because if Oscar can find an electric generator, the generator can then power up that Iron Hands once it's dead, once the Iron Crown is dead, and then allow for 3 prizes potentially later.
Generator coming down on Oscar's side of the field. We did see a Power Edge attack, which deals 130 to the Iron Crown, setting it up for future KO if he's able to get it. If Adrian's able to get it back up into the active again. Power Edge not having the effect that Trinity Nova did on the previous turn, so he was unable to accelerate any further energy onto the benched Arceus. Would have been a perfect turn had he been able to get the Arceus V-Star, take the knockout, and accelerate. Would have really been in a much better position. Took the turn that he was able to muster, though. We see an Iono. Players shuffling their hands, placing them on the bottom of the deck, and then drawing for the amount of prize cards they have remaining, which is 4 on both sides.
And that's exactly what Oscar needed to see. He had the future booster energy capsule along for the free retreat on that Iron Crown. And then we are going to see a big swing into that Arceus due to the boosted Iron Crowns and Future Booster capsules on the Iron Hands. Going into Lost Zone, too.
Yep, Lost City sending that Arceus V away for the rest of the game.
All right, 2 prize cards remaining for Oscar to take. The Iron Hands just out of reach of the Giratina V-Star. Not enough energy in hand.
Adrian appears to be holding an Iono of his own, which will be played down. The new Iono, full art that came from the Iono set, I guess.
The $49.99 Iono,
And
not
that'd be
the
the one.
$100 Iono.
Yes.
All right, going to see some hand disruption here. Oscar's down to 2 cards. I'm curious to see what he has, because right now Adrian is living on a prayer. If this Arceus V-Star is to go down, that is going to be the game in favor of Oscar. So right now he needs to swing into this Iron Hands and then hope that there's no energy acceleration that Oscar can get going to power up another Iron Hands after he takes the 2-hit KO on this Iron Hands. So Adrian hoping a little bit that the disruption was hitting hard. Looks like Oscar's got a Crisis Punch and 1 energy.
Unfortunate for Adrian, I don't know that he's going to be able to launch an attack here this turn. No double turbo in hand. Only 1 energy attached on the Arceus V-Star right now. So he may be stuck just passing with an empty hand, which is far from ideal.
I think that Crisis Punch in Oscar's hand too, not going to be useful in this game because it's going to be 2/2/2 knockouts.
Yeah, I think a lot of lists of the turbo hands are kind of adopting that Crisis Punch because many times you'll find yourself surrendering a Miraidon, single prize Miraidon, and Crisis Punch is able to be used when you're down to when your opponent is down to 1 prize card remaining. Allows you to attach that Technical Machine Crisis Punch and swing for 280.
All right, a great advertisement here for Dragon Shield non-glare sleeves. If you want to come get some here at the Forge, I think I make this joke every week. Use the Pokemon code Pokemon Tuesday Night Challenge through next Monday. You can come get some Dragon Shield glare-free sleeves. If you bring Dragon Shield glare-free sleeves, I will put you on stream. I promise. So.
Arven played down by Oscar, choosing to get the Crisis Punch and Techno Radar. Techno Radar allows you to discard a card from your hand and then go and search for 2 future Pokemon. Now, are those future Pokemon, they're taken to hand, correct? They don't have to be played to the bench. 'Cause
They
the
are
bench
searched to hand, yep.
Yeah.
Looking at the bench here for Oscar, he's got a Future Booster on the Iron Hands, bumping up 20, and then those 3 Iron Crowns adding an extra 60. So that is going to be, I believe, 200 damage for the lesser attack. Or excuse me, no, a lot more than that. That's going to be 200 damage.
Able to soften up that Arceus V-Star and set it up for a KO on the following turn. Adrian top decking Colress, which is a huge top deck for him because he had absolutely nothing going on. Able to look at the top 5 cards of his deck. Is able to pull 3 to hand, and then 2 will go to the Lost Zone.
If he doesn't get this Arceus V-Star out of the active, it is going down this turn. He's already used his Prime Catcher, has no way to gust up any of his opponent's Pokemon in hand. We're going to see an attach and likely retreat into the other Arceus just to try to buy some time.
Yep.
If he had a Sharon's Care, that would have been the perfect time to use it. Unfortunately, had to play the Colress to dig into that deck a little bit further. Is a 2 retreat cost on the Arceus V-Star. Going to head into another Arceus. I think it's just going to be a pass.
Well, and with Adrian really struggling to get things going right now, I don't think Oscar minds taking his time, and if he has to swing into this Arceus again to soften it up, I think he'd be fine with that. He would be able to do an Ampy very much on the Greninja to finish up the game as well. A lot of options on Oscar's side of the board, and it's starting to look worse and worse for Adrian, unfortunately.
All Oscar needs to stumble into right now is that Prime Catcher. If he can find it, he could bring up the Radiant Greninja and then attack back with the Iron Hands. See him powering up the Iron Hands for just that play if he finds the Prime Catcher. Going to see a pass, a great stall, or an attack. Adrian buying himself another turn. See what he can pull off this turn. Does have a boss's orders, could bring up an Iron Crown to stall a little bit. We've got 3 future booster capsules on the playfield right now. I believe 1 in the discard pile. So that Iron Crown is not going to have a free treat available. This is a great stall for Adrian, able to put some damage on the board if he can get some energy attachment. But right now, just looking to build his board state up a little bit.
Using the concealed card's ability to discard the water energy and draw 2. Looked like he drew into the double turbo energy.
Oh, he had the last one in hand.
So he did.
And then he top decks the boss. What a way to end the game. Oscar, a normally super chill player, just casually doing a full retreat, slamming into the Arceus V-Star, and then showing that he top decked the boss at the same time.
Says I have it any which way I need it.
Showing the power of sometimes the A-Specs too, that you don't need it, but just the threat that it's in your deck. You can be a little bit more careful with how you're playing, and just knowing that eventually you'll draw into it. To give Adrian awesome credit, a lot of the new cards that we're seeing have abilities, like Charizard. Lugia V-Star has an ability, so that Alolan Vulpix inclusion is actually a very great meta decision, just because a lot of the decks can't hit it. They can't hurt it.
There's many decks that are entirely reliant on abilities, so not a bad meta call at all. It just so happens that Turbo Hands doesn't care and doesn't use the abilities.
Speed hands.
Just about throwing those metal hands around.
All right, we'll be right back with a winner's interview with Oscar. Tim and I will be having a discussion about some other meta stuff as well, and then we'll head into, I believe, the 4th and final round of the night at the challenge here.
Yep, sounds
Cool.
great.
We'll be right back with an interview with Oscar. Tuesday night, Pokemon fans. I am here with the winner of round 3, Oscar. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good.
Tell us about the deck that you chose to play tonight, why you chose to play it.
I like taking extra prizes and making the game go as fast as possible. So
Okay.
Iron Hands is a great deck for doing that.
We were talking about speed hands.
Oh yes, you got to do this motion over and over. That's right.
You're coming for my job, Oscar.
You got to amp up the game. You know?
You do? Oh, there you go. I'm going to
Yeah.
steal that for next time. So walk us through the goal of that. You're trying to get E-generators to get them powered up. What's the perfect setup in your world of that
The
deck?
perfect setup would be just you start with Miraidon so they can accelerate energy. Maybe
You did that.
Get a cheap little hit off
'Kay.
so that you can set up for the amp you very much on turn 2 possibly. And that game I was basically still setting up by trying to find the Mew to draw extra cards, but he knocked it out right away. So
He
I
did.
really didn't have many choices going forward. So I was pretty much just attach and attack and see what happens.
That worked out really well for you too, because the Arceus is kind of limited in its damage output, and even under ideal circumstances, it is always going to be one short of taking out your Iron Hands.
That's right. So I was basically just hoping that he wouldn't draw whatever he needed, and hoping that I was just damage ahead of him.
And you got the Speed Hands.
Yep.
Congratulations on the win. We got one more round tonight.
Yeah.
Are you going to take the whole event?
I don't know,
I believe
but
in you,
I
Oscar.
really hope that the ampage is there for me.
All right. We hope that your Speed Hands carries you to great heights, Oscar.
Thank you. I hope so too.
You got us on stream here. Anybody you want to say hi to or say hello or thanks to?
If some of my students end up watching this, well, I'll call on my 7th graders.
All right.
go.
It is 8:30 on a Tuesday. I'll see if I can get them to watch.
All right.
All right. Oscar, thanks for joining us. Good luck in your next round.
Thank you very much. John.
Stick around, guys. We'll be right back. Tuesday night Pokemon fans, we got a bit of a break here between matches. Round 3 ended a little bit soon. Got our winners interview in the bag with Oscar. Again, Oscar, thank you for joining us tonight. Tim and I were talking about controversial upcoming Pokemon opinions, and I was musing a little bit. There was an inclusion in 151 that I think piqued my curiosity. It did pique Maximum Blockage, Maxwell Johnson's curiosity as well. It's actually Arbok EX. It's a stage 1. I don't think it's fully baked yet, like we were just talking about, Tim, but the bind down ability during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. Excuse me, not bind down. That's a great attack, but that's not the one I wanted to talk about. Menacing Fangs. Your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand.
Sure.
When you look at that, Tim, you think, okay, this is a control effect, obviously. It does 150 damage, but the main thing there is they discard 2 hands. You know what I think this is going to turn into? I think with Reset Stamp, this is going to be an inclusion in some of the Pidgeot control decks going forward. We're going to need the Reset Stamp Ace spec in order to make this work, which Reset Stamp is shuffle your hand in your deck, I believe, and then you draw 5 and they draw 2.
Yeah.
And then with this attack, you can get into that old school, you don't have any cards, and I just took out your Barrel with that 150 damage. Good luck to you.
Yeah, well, and we've seen it a couple of times on stream or just from games that we play independently. you do not want to be in a position where you are reliant on that next card of the top deck. 'Cause
Top deck mode's the worst.
it's so bad because most of the time it's going to be exactly what you don't need. so that's a pretty brutal play. Also, I'll say this: anything that has Max Johnson's attention has my attention because that guy knows stuff.
And he is notorious for playing control decks, currently piloting Snorlax to extreme success. Just got back from EUIC, did well there, almost close to locking up his World's Invite. Yeah, he actually hands out business cards when you lose to him. It's like, you lost to Max
been
Johnson.
blocked.
You've been stalled. I think that card is going to be something. Or, again, a bit of a callback. We were talking about Banette. It was such a cool card, but we didn't really know how to use it. And now that it's finding its way into Tina, we're like, oh, that was so obvious. I'm hoping to get on the hype train that with Reset Stamp, you will see that Arbok EX as a stage 1 become something that's very, very, very built into those control decks, just to get that Charizard down to 2 cards, then to take a knockout on something that they need, and then discard them to 0 cards so that their Pidgeot is only doing, you find that 1 card. And Charizard doesn't usually play research. So I think this is going to be an interesting inclusion in the meta. Hopefully I'm right. I rarely am, but
I think you have the potential to be. Well, and I think a lot of times Pokemon will put stuff out where they're like, you should play this deck right now because this card is broken. It interacts with cards that are already out here in a very broken way. And then other times, like Arbok, you just need to wait a little bit. And then there's going to be a card that comes along that will break that too. It just wasn't ready upon release. And actually, the discard effect was good enough that it did garner some attention when 151 was released. There were a couple people, YouTubers, streamers, things that were like tinkering with ideas and being like, this could be good.
well, you can pair with a Roxanne or a late game Iono, you're going to get rid of their entire hand. But I think you're asking a lot. There needs to be, I agree, one extra little thing that's going to like, all right, now all of a sudden you have no cards, and I killed your draw supporter. So,
Yep.
cool. Do you have any controversial opinions you'd like to share with us about the Pokemon TCG?
Let's see. I don't really do controversy. Here, I'll say this. I'll say an endorsement for it.
Okay.
If you're somehow watching this stream and you're not yet involved in the Pokemon TCG, now is the time to get involved, my friend, because it is growing. It is healthy. We're getting bigger and bigger tournaments locally and on the big stage, the regionals, the worlds.
Yep.
Like it's just growing at a huge pace. Really cool place to be. So like I said, if you somehow saw this without watching Pokemon, here's my come get involved speech.
Yeah, come play with us. Forgive me, I was getting a phone call. Come play TCG with us. The community here is super kind. It is blowing
Specifically,
up.
come play at the Forge.
Yeah, use the discount code. I think we've mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah.
I think we're getting settled for our 4th game tonight. We're going to go grab a pairing for you guys so we can get the 4th game going here. Stick around. We will be right back.
Hey, Tuesday night, Pokemon fans. We are back here at the Forge for our final stream match of the night. Final round in the challenge as well. At the end of this one, we will find out who's going to be taking those precious championship points home, and who's going to go home sad and without those championship points.
So alone with no championship points.
We are going to be looking at a Chen Pao versus Giratina V-Star matchup here. Players getting set on the stream here.
A couple of inclusions in these lists. Seeing the Chen Pao deck play an Iron Bundle, kind of an extra little gust effect, which is a little bit of new things we've seen added after the Temporal Forces rotation. And then on Billy, we refer to him as Billy, Williams side of the board, Giratina V, does have an Iron Leaves EX, not going to be particularly useful in this Chen Pao matchup, usually just there for the Charizard matchup. So interested to see how these guys are going to do, because both these decks are teched for decks that they're not playing.
Correct. The Iron Bundle, to your point, acting as a pseudo replacement for Escape Rope, which did rotate as we switched from the E to F format.
All right, top of the format there, we're going to see Brian with his Chen Pao deck starting a Bidoof with its Carefree Continents, immune to bench attacks. That's pretty useless, though, when you start it in the active facing down a Radiant Greninja. Contrary to the deck that we saw Alex play earlier, this deck is playing 3 water energy, so you do have to be careful that your Frigibaxes don't get sniped with that Moonlight Shuriken from Billy's side of the board.
I can guarantee you that the Bidoof is much more pleased to be in the active than Brian would be to have it there. Great big smile from the Bidoof sitting in the active.
Its big dumb teeth just happy to be there.
It appeared that Brian was forced to Ultra Ball a couple of pretty key resources. I could be mistaken, but I want to say maybe his Prime Catcher went down as Ultra Ball fodder just to get in this game. Opening hand really not having much happen, and I think he's pretty aware that could have been looking at a donk situation if he didn't have anything on the bench. That smiling Beaver in the active could have been knocked out.
At the same time, too, Chen Pao able to accelerate energy with the Super Cold ability of Baxcalibur once that comes online. So Billy also needs to be aware of a Radiant Greninja Moonlight Shuriken taking out 2 Comfies for 2 prizes as well. So it's kind of the battle of the tongue scarf wearing evolved Pokemon that are the Radiant Greninja. Is it a tongue or is it a scarf? Is it both?
I'm going to go with both.
It's both, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
This is actually a debate in my marriage.
Brian was able to conceal cards 1 energy into 2 more, and then out of desperation slammed that Pokestop down and played it immediately. Off of that Pokestop, we saw Iron Bundle get discarded, and 2 Ultra Balls go to hand. Ultra Ball being played there. It looked like he discarded 2nd Ultra Ball and Water Energy to go and get a Frigibax.
Sometimes the rare arts are actually easier to see on stream if there's a little bit of glare, but other times they are not. We appreciate you, Brian, for playing that rare art so we can see it. Frigibax going to be the basic setup for accelerating into Baxcalibur. Does play 3 of them, 2 of Paldea 208, and then the rare art one, and then that's the 3 of the same cards, but 2 of them are rare art. So not playing any of the intermediate ones, though. Luckily for him, we're not seeing the Banette item lock on Billy's side of the board. That can be an inclusion with these V-Star decks that we saw previously that can just shut down Chen Pao because they can't play Superior Energy Retrieval. They can't play Rare Candies. They just can't function as long as that Banette item lock does not get broken. So Billy going through his deck a little bit. Looks like he is checking his deck for Comfey's energy. V-Star really, really susceptible to running out of energy, so you got to be careful that you pay attention to that. His main attacker in this, the Giratina V-Star, does Lost Zone 2 energy for each attack for that 280, so it can get really expensive to take out those Chen Paos. Probably going to want to end up with the Moonlight Shuriken attack just to hit down a Frigibax and then put some damage on the active Radiant Greninja would be the optimal attack next turn for him.
I also liked, before Brian passed the turn over, he did attach Retreat to send the Bidoof to the bench and promote the Radiant Greninja with 130 HP. He knows that most likely a best case scenario is that Cramorant comes to the active with a Spit innocently, or you might see an Abyss Seeking with Giratina V. Abyss Seeking would fuel the Lost Zone. Cramorant would attack for 110. 110, not going to knock out a Radiant Greninja, but it would have taken down the Bidoof, so it retreats to safety there, maybe allows him to soak a hit and see if he can make something happen there. Not really wanting to lose that Bidoof because the Barrel is such an important draw for the Chen Pao players.
All right, Pokegear 3.0 coming down. Look at the top 7 of your deck, and then keep any one supporter you find there. That was the ideal supporter that Billy found there. The Colress's experiment was 5th down. I'm surprised he kept going through his deck once he found it.
Found it, done. Well, and
Done.
that's really what that Pokegear is in there for, is to find those Colresses on early turns, potentially Roxanne on late turns, really allowing the Giratina players to dig deep and find what they need when they need it.
We've seen a really consistent play out of the Giratina decks we've seen on stream as well. 2 different builds, but finding a Colress on most of the turns they've been going for. Noah not playing Giratina V-Star, but also digging really deeply with those Colresses. An extremely valuable card, both for seeing a bunch of cards and then getting rid of cards to power up that Lost Zone.
I think Giratina for a long time was kind of known as like one of the brickier decks, and like, well, if it sets up, it seems to be setting up more often than not now. Like we seem to figure out a formula that keeps it going, and really once the Giratina deck gets steamrolling, it can be very difficult to stop.
All right, let's see what Billy is going to opt to keep. That energy is important, but he's not down too many. Opting to keep it, though. Going to get rid of a Giratina V-Star and a Mirage Gate, it looks like, for those first 2 in the Lost Zone. The question is, can he attach Retreat or Jet Energy attached to Giratina V-Star? There is the attachment. I think we're going to see an Abyss Seeking to get him to 4 in the Lost Zone.
Yeah, not a bad turn. Able to establish 2 Giratina V. Protects against a lone KO on one of them, potentially. Also able to get Manaphy down. Prevent Moonlight Shuriken from taking 2 prizes, unless Brian is able to use a Canceling Cologne, which actually I don't even see in his list, so that wouldn't be possible. So Manaphy is going to safeguard against the Moonlight Shuriken attack.
That Abyss Seeking, look at the top 4, and then keep 2 in the Lost Zone. So opting to get rid of an Energy and a Nest Ball, keeping a Colress and a Mirage Gate. Can only play 4 Mirage Gates, so if you got rid of one earlier, and then you got rid of another one, then you're down to half that you need to power up your Giratina V-Star. So I think a smart grab, keeping that in his hand, building up a pretty good hand size. Now for the Chen Pao player, Brian, he's got the Chen Pao down, going to be able to use Shivery Chill if he can get that into the active. Rare Candy into a Baxcalibur, so Super Cold is now online. The question is, can he get the Chen Pao into the active with enough energy to do the 220 damage it takes to bring up? Are we going to see a Canceling Cologne play? He doesn't play one, does he?
No, I didn't see one.
All right, going to Prime Catcher that Chen Pao into the active. Maybe he is going for a Boss's Orders play after this, using the Prime Catcher just as a very expensive switch. Using the ability Shivery Chill to go get 2 Water Energy out of your deck, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Shout out to one of our co-hosts, Tom Hellenkamper, who piloted Chen Pao to a 20th place finish at EUIC, locking up his World's Invite. Nice job, Tom.
Incredible success
Yeah,
on
right.
this very deck. Tom, great player, and is able to pilot any deck he picks up, honestly, and typically an innovator of some pretty cool ideas as well. Great showing, and good to see him do well there. Let's see, deck being shuffled after the Shivery Chill here. 2 energy cards to hand. Brian is going to be able to accelerate those energy using the Super Cold ability on the benched Baxcalibur.
Now the question is, do you take out this Manaphy hoping to set up a Radiant Greninja play next time? Or do you pass and let Giratina V try to take a knockout on you? I think he's got to take a KO, and if he can, using the Barrel to see more cards, try to bring up something that he could do some more damage to.
Off of that concealed cards, Brian was able to get a superior energy retrieval, which is going to allow Brian to pull 4 water energy from the discard, or 4 energy of any kind. It'd be water energy at this point, because that's what's there. Had the Giratina V been in the active, Brian could have accelerated enough energy to take a KO on the Giratina. It's going to be much less of a fun time just taking that Manaphy out of play right now.
You gotta be careful with Chen Pao. You only have 4 of those superior energy retrievals. You can get 4 back every turn, but you're going to need 5 energy to take out the Giratina V-Stars with its 280 health. So realistically, you can only use 3 of those, or give up 3 of those to do those knockouts before you're coming up short on finding that energy. So Chen Pao has to be very careful with his resource management. You have enough energy, but the thing is getting it into your hand and then getting it back into your hand after you discard it can be a bit of a challenge. So you can use that super cold ability to put 4 water energy onto his board, 2 on the required Chen Pao, discarding 1, it looks like, to attack into the Manaphy. Oh, rethinking, I think, the attachment. Opting to discard 2 off the Chen Pao. Looks like 3 in total.
Yeah, well, and definitely going for exactly what you had mentioned, really wanting to set up that Moonlight Shuriken on the following turn with Manaphy out of play. Moonlight Shuriken on the next turn would allow him to take out Comfy for draw support and soften up one of the other Pokemon, whether it be a Giratina V or the Radiant Greninja. Really, ideally, if you're going to invest that heavily into the Moonlight Shuriken, you'd be taking 2 prizes off of it. So, well, 2 Comfy now on the board, so that would be an option for him.
With the Manaphy coming back, though, with the Super Rod,
Oh, sure.
Billy is establishing his board state so that even if that Moonlight Shuriken is coming down, it's still only going to take that single prize on the active, and you do have to discard 2 energy from that Moonlight Shuriken attack.
Yep.
So you then are tapping further into the resources of the superior energy retrieval. So
I was talking through the thought, and I missed the fact that he rotted the Manaphy right
he
back.
agreed with you. You were ahead of him, Tim. Billy, an intelligent player, knows what he's doing. Definitely going to keep that Colress's experiment. Has to be careful with energy management, so we're going to probably see him keep that Super Rod. The thing is, there is a Grass Energy and a Mirage Gate in there as well.
And he did pitch 1 Grass Energy earlier. He runs a total of 4, so now we're going to see potentially 2 Grass Energy gone for the game. Opts against it, though. He ended up putting a Super Rod in there instead.
The Grass Energy in hand is worth 2 Super Rods in the Lost Zone, is what I always say.
Everybody says that.
Everyone says that. I appreciate everyone sticking around with us, watching the last game of the night. If you're watching this on video on demand, thank you so much for watching the stream here. Tim and I do this for fun. We don't get paid to do this. We do it because it's cool. So thank you for joining us.
Love of the game.
I see Mirage Gate go down. That means there's 7 in the Lost Zone. Going to go through his deck. Going to attach 1 of the 2 remaining Grass Energies. Do we see another one in his deck? Is there potentially 1 prized? That would be tough if there is.
Water Energy going to Greninja. I believe Billy had a Jet Energy in hand, so setting up that Water Energy to be discarded off of, or not discarded, Lost Zoned, off of a Lost Impact attack on the Chen Pao.
Good to see another Mirage Gate. Still going through his deck. I think this is a great opportunity, too, for Billy to check his resources.
Sure.
He knows that he only plays 4 Grass Energy. He needs to be careful because if 1 is prized and that Giratina V-Star goes down with it attached and he's short on Super Rods, that's the end of the game. That is the required energy for Giratina V-Star to use any of its attacks.
Micro decisions rearing their head again on these Lost Zone decks. Giratina in particular. Energy management, one of the most important things of piloting this deck.
An excellent point, Tim. It is the micro decisions that make these decks work, and it's the micro decisions where you may have pitched that energy too long ago to recover your board state, and you don't get to find out about it until later. So, and sometimes you Colress and it's 4 energy, and you're like, well, crap.
Okay, then. Jet Energy going to bring that Giratina V-Star into the active. Lost Impact going to be taking a big 2-prize KO here on Chen Pao. You'll see, I'm sure the Jet Energy will go to the Lost Zone, and then likely a Water would be probably the wisest decision. Like you mentioned, you've got to preserve those Psychic and Grass energies as long as you can. Oh, both Water. I suppose, because that would allow Lost Impact again if Brian is unable to to respond KO here. He could just rip another Lost Impact. That's smart as well.
If Brian is unable to respond with a KO on this Giratina V-Star, it is going to, you're right, allow Billy to attack again one more time. And then he'll be discarding 2 energy, but he'll be far enough in the prize trade that he could Sableye a couple of times to potentially take the knockout with that and Greninja. But if Brian is able to take the knockout on the Giratina V-Star, it's going to be tough for Billy to recover the resources he needs to set up the one on the bench and get a Giratina V-Star back evolved as well. So I'm interested to see how this goes. Brian's a great player. His son's a great player. His son's Oscar's actually probably better than I am. Yeah, seeing if you can piece together these puzzle pieces to get the energy onto Chien-Pao into the active to take the big 5 energy discard KO on this Giratina V-Star. Think he's got it, Tim?
Well, I think it's certainly possible. And to your point, a lot of times we can see these big swings in game where all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, Billy takes this huge KO and knocks out the lone threat on the board. But like you said, if Brian is able to respond and take the Giratina right back, it could be difficult for Billy to keep pace and keep foot on the gas and keep ahead of the prize race.
All right, there is a Chien-Pao from a nest ball. Oh, he played an Irida. Gonna grab the water Pokemon and an item. Gonna put some energy back into the deck if that Chien-Pao get into the active. Use the Shivery Chill to go get that energy that he needs. Unfortunately, unless he can find a switch, he's gonna have to discard that energy off the Radiant Greninja. But if that Pokestop is in the active and that Pokestop finds a single Superior Energy Retrieval, we are gonna see a KO on this Chien-Pao. Oh, there's a Superior Energy Retrieval as well.
Or pulled off the Irida. Second guessing the Super Rod, it looks like.
I like both plays, but if he's got enough cards and you got enough energy in the discard pile, that does guarantee it if he can find one more energy from the Shivery Chill. Super Rod's very versatile in the Chien-Pao deck. You can go put stuff into your deck that you can immediately grab. If you've got an Irida, you can get that Chien-Pao that you just recycled. Some of the new decks only playing 2 Chien-Paos just because they got an extra Super Rod count. Props to Tom for the one who piloted that to the win, or to top 32. Going to see a single retreat cost into the Chien-Pao, which is the SIR, which I love. Shivery Chill, if he can find one energy, I think he's going to have this KO. Putting Billy on his heels. Let's see if he can find it. There's one.
Well, and again, we've talked about it a couple of times tonight, but this big KO here on the V-Star is equal parts helping Brian, but also asking questions of Billy. That's one of the best things that you can do, is not only help yourself and take your prize cards, but try to make it as difficult as you possibly can for Billy to do something in return to keep you as far ahead as possible.
The temptation of the Pokestop. It calls to you sometimes.
Giveth and taketh away,
You're
right?
going to concealed cards first. Get the item cards that you can before you discard stuff you might need. Going through his deck, making sure he's got the energy in the discard pile. Now with the Super Cold ability, if you've got it in your hand, you can attach it, but you just got to get it in your hand. See if you can put this together.
Talk about micro decisions of the Lost Zone deck. Chien-Pao also a deck that's kind of known for little decisions and sequencing. What do I do first? Do I, Shivery Chill, concealed cards, Industrious Incisors when applicable with Bibarel. There's a lot of little things that go into it. As we do see that big KO on the Giratina V-Star.
60 damage for each energy discarded. That was 5. That makes 300. That is a KO for Brian. All right. Let's see
Top
if
deck of Boss, it appears.
it was a boss or it was a boss's orders. I
Yeah.
thought it was a Roxanne for a second.
Roxanne would have been huge. Brian just going to 3 prize cards remaining. Of course, that allows Roxanne to be played. Your opponent does need to be on 3 prize cards remaining for you to play Roxanne. Concealed cards.
Now into the micro decisions here. If Billy were to draw a Psychic Energy and a Grass Energy off of these concealed cards, that could be devastating, because then you have to keep the Grass Energy and you're losing another energy resources. So some of these concealed cards are going to be very, very, very tricky. Does have a Super Rod though, putting some energy back into the deck. Got 1 Grass Energy in the deck now, I believe, and 1 in the discard pile. We haven't seen the 4th one, though. It is still potentially prized. Hopefully, for Billy's sake, it is not, because that is required reading for this Giratina V-Star. He's got 1 in the hand.
One in hand. While we're selecting C2 cards, and we've got that two
Two
energy.
energy choice. Potentially keep the jet energy because it allows you some switching effects. If you can get a Giratina V-Star with a jet and then Mirage Gate.
Ulrus digging 5 cards.
All right, found the Mirage Gate. We know the grass energy is still in deck, so he will be able to accelerate into the active Giratina V-Star if he can find it. The question is, can he find the V-Star?
Yeah, I believe it was found off the Colress.
Oh,
It was,
perfect.
one of the first couple of cards there. Yep. Evolved up to Giratina V-Star. Got a Mirage Gate in hand. Billy's going to be in good shape to take this Chen Pao down.
Now, the question is, do you switch into a Comfey and then attach to the Giratina V-Star, or do you potentially not dig into your deck right now because you might be making a difficult choice that you didn't want to make?
Billy choosing to switch. He did put the Comfy in the discard pile. That should go to his bench.
Let it go.
I'll go tell him.
Sometimes the streamers here also have to be some quick catch judges. Thanks as always, Tim, joining us here tonight, being judge on the spot, teacher by day, Pokemon TCG caster, and judge by night. Using the V-Star ability to take the big one-hit KO. You cannot resist it. You cannot stop it. It is Starbirth. You're gone. Get out of there, Chimpo. All right, Billy going down to 2 prizes. So right now, Brian needs to be careful because putting a 2-prizer on the bench and not taking a knockout will lose you the game.
Right.
So you got to figure
you have
out.
to be sure that you're able to swing for another 5 energy card discard and huge knockout.
Well, if you want to find what's in your deck and then put it to the top off that Radiant Greninja, Cypher Maniacs Code Breaking is the solution. Find 2, shuffle your deck, put them on top in any order.
So Brian looking through the deck here, deciding what 2 cards are going to allow me to take this KO on this turn. And it has to be now.
And the question is, does he have a Chen Pao in deck? I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah, both discarded.
So right now he needs to find a way to get a Chen Pao back into the deck, and then a way to find that Chen Pao and put it on the bench. I think we're gonna have to see a Superior Energy Retrieval and a Super Rod placed at the top of the deck. Use potentially Barrel to draw into them, and then if you have some energy to dig further with concealed cards. But we're gonna see if he can piece together next turn what he needs, because this turn he's gonna be giving up 1 prize to make it work. That being said, if you're Billy and you see 1 Baxcalibur down and your opponent's struggling to put together the pieces of Chen Pao, that Baxcalibur is what needs to die next turn.
Well, and good point about the single prize board state. That's something that Chen Pao is able to do sometimes to buy a turn. I think I had mentioned, like, well, it's got to be now. You got to take that prize. But actually, you can, if you don't put that 2-prizer in play when you don't have the KO, to your point, you could buy yourself a turn potentially. I mean, ideally, you'd love to take the KO, but if you need to, you can pass the board over and say, Billy, all right, you're not going to be able to win on this turn.
I'm going to make you work for it. I will say, giving Billy credit 4 turns ago, putting the Manaphy down, getting it back on the bench, because right now, if that Manaphy was not there, Brian would have the game, I would think, being able to take 2 prizes on those Comfeys and then still having a single prize on the active and then piecing it together on the following turn. So good job, Billy, getting that Manaphy down. Let's see what Brian can put together here. Can he hit the Pokestop? Finds
Energy
the Superior
retrieval.
Energy. Fortunately, that Irida
Irida
could
goes
have been
down.
clutch. Did find the Super Rod, though, so he can
That's
put the
big.
Chen Pao back in the deck. Deck's getting pretty thin, but Barrel's going to go use those Industrious Incisors to find it next turn if he can. Well, the question is, does Billy have enough energy to attack with this Giratina V-Star? He needs 1 more.
Superior Energy Retrieval going to be pulling 4 from the discard back to the hand. Getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Have we seen Brian play a Prime Catcher yet? Did he really get rid of it?
So I was incorrect on the discard of it. He did play it.
Okay.
I think it was turn 2. He played it to bring the Manaphy up and knock it out. Did play a heavy ball, checked his prizes.
Smart move. If all those prizes are energy, there is no way to win this game. Opting to grab the Chin Pao. 2 Chen Paos and getting shuffled back into the deck with that Super Rod, maximizing the likelihood that he will stumble into them with Babarrel's draw up to 5 in your hand, Industrious Incisors. Tim, thanks for joining me tonight. The ends of the games we've seen, 3 out of the 4 games, have just been like these, not nail biters, but chess. This is players managing resources. This is players just piecing it together bit by bit, sequencing correctly, being polite by tapping on your opponent's deck.
It's really exciting to see too. I mean, it's a card game, so there's variability. But whenever we're able to like minimize the variability, Nestball going to be grabbing that Chen Pao, John losing it again.
If he puts the Chen Pao down and doesn't have the conclusive attack here, that will cost him the game. I think Brian is telegraphing right now though that he might have the 5 energy he needs to take the KO here, and it's going to be a absolute bear for Billy to respond. So if he can put together the KO pieces right here, he has got this game locked down. This is crazy.
That is wild.
I think he's going to piece it
What a
together.
big find.
At the same time, too, if he cannot piece this together, if he comes up that 1 energy short, leaving 250 damage on the Giratina V-Star, and Billy has the 1 energy that he needs or a way to dig and find it, Billy's got the game. So it's going to all come down if he can get that 5 energy.
Brian choosing to Super Cold 2 energy to the Chen Pao.
And just a pass. So we are 1 boss's orders away.
And I
Mirage
believe
Gate.
Billy did pull a boss last turn, so he's got it. If I'm not mistaken.
Mirage Gate, 1 energy to the Sableye. Going to attach the last grass or 2 jet energies to the Giratina V-Star.
Yeah.
Gonna boss's order up the Chen Pao and take the KO on Brian's Chen Pao on the bench.
That to your point, all or nothing. It was that turn. Once you put that 2 prizer down, you had to be sure that I have it.
You'd be
Otherwise you
100% sure that you have all 5 energy that you needed. I'm sorry that I almost elbowed you in the face doing this because I was so stressed out about the game. Yeah, awesome game to see Giratina V-Star being so successful tonight. The Chen Pao, to your point, sequencing, digging through your deck, finding what you need, just coming up short. Sometimes that's how Chen Pao is. You need 5, you find 4, you lose.
Yeah, well, and we kept talking about like Industrious Incisors. I don't think we actually ever got to the barrel to dig further. It was stayed as the smiling Bidoof on the bench the whole time. So.
Oh, it did. I thought that was Babarrel. Oh, the Babarrel art is blue.
Yeah,
We just had a Bidoof hanging out with us all night tonight.
I kept waiting. That could have been what swung it the other way.
Indeed. So we'll be back with our final winners interview of the night. Stick around interviewing Billy about his Giratina V-Star deck. And then, Tim, are you cool for doing a quick wrap-up at the end of the night?
Oh yeah, totally.
Cool. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back.
We are back here with our winner's interview with Billy. Billy was the pilot of the Giratina V-Star. Giratina doing Giratina things. Billy also like a known pilot of Giratina. Sometimes he gets bored and plays other decks, but very, very solid with the deck. He certainly knows what he's doing and was able to sequence everything the right way and take the big KOs when he needed them. Billy, how'd you feel the Giratina played today?
I was just really lucky against Chen Pao because we all know Chen Pao does Chen Pao things against Tina. So I got lucked out basically. His draw secret nits and not finding the barrel when he needed it for the draw support all game.
Yeah.
Just relying on the Greninja to just draw. And then just a weird setup that I had emergency board to attack with the Beast Seeking turn one with the Tina to set up for the following Colress was.
I think the lack of a barrel, to your point, really hurt Brian the entire game. Chen Pao players, honestly, a lot of times will end up setting two barrels up to just draw and draw and draw and get what you need. And Brian never saw one. So just that Bidoof sitting on the bench really wasn't doing him any favors and made it tough to sequence those big attacks and big knockouts. He chose to target down your Manaphy, maybe hoping to set up a future Moonlight Shuriken, knocking out a couple of support Pokemon, but you immediately rotted and put it right back down. So he said, you're not going to be doing that this game, buddy. I'm sorry.
Got lucky to hit the Poffin right off the top, too. So
yeah. Really set yourself up well and kind of dodged some things that Brian really wasn't able to establish. On that final turn, once he put that Chen Pao down without having the full 5 energy to take the Tina V-Star, it was over. You had boss in hand. You were able to bring it up and take your final 2.
Yeah, I had any KO, so if you had all 5 energy, I had to Sableye to follow up for the final 2 knocks.
Yeah,
so.
Sure. Did everything that you needed to do to set yourself up either way. Like I said, Billy, incredible player. Great run tonight with the Giratina. And I'm sure we'll be seeing him around at more local tournaments and whatnot. He's always hanging around at the Forge. So
yeah, definitely for sure. Mess around with some Tina some more.
Yeah, right. Well, thanks for coming out and thanks for doing this interview with me. And have a good rest of your night. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
All right, appreciate it.
right, Tuesday night Pokemon fans, that's going to do it for us here at The Forge. Thank you for watching. If you're watching video on demand, thank you for tuning in sometime at a later date. I am John, your host on the left.
I am Tim. John, thanks for having me. And you guys, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. Be sure to come in and visit The Forge. Use that discount code. Tuesday night Pokemon Challenge. Was that right?
Pokemon Tuesday Night Challenge. You were good,
Close.
Tim. It's
Jumbled
late.
the words. It is late. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Please make sure you come out. Check us out on stream again next week.
Yeah, give us a follow on YouTube. Join us on Twitch, and we will see you next Tuesday.
All right. Thanks, guys.